Learn cybersecurity and focus technical training with justhacking.com, where all-star instructors and industry experts provide hands-on, affordable, and practical learning. Across courses, free upskill challenges, hack-along training videos, and capture the flag competitions, there's always something to hack. With new content twice a month, all throughout the year, plus bi-monthly live streams, you can sharpen your skills in our on-demand and interactive lab environments. Advance your career and level up, regardless of your experience or budget. Forget all the noise and get to Just Hacking. Sign up now at justhacking.com. Alrighty. Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Goodness gracious. Welcome. Welcome to another Just Hacking training live stream, another JHT show. But thank you, genuinely, seriously. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us. You know, I've been running around doing a whole lot of live streams this week. I've been doing a whole lot of little get-togethers, little webinars, little shows, little stuff out on the internet. And now tomorrow, we're hopping on the plane to get over to San Francisco and do some of that sweet, fun stuff in person for B-Side San Francisco, for RSA, and all of the great things IRL. But really, really gracious for you willing to spend some time with us today, now, for a Just Hacking training live stream. You know, our extra venture, you know, the other initiative that we've got running around to keep spreading education, awareness, a little bit more hands-on, technical, real, hey, practitioner-led stuff for cybersecurity, for focused technical training, for hacking, for Just Hacking training. And look, you know, I get a chance to talk shop. You know, this is when I get to scream and shout and celebrate all the awesome stuff that we're up to. And my goodness, I kind of have a whole lot of stuff to talk about today. We have a laundry list of things for me to announce and to share with you. Awesome, really cool, incredible news. But truth be told, you're not here for me. We have some incredible special guests today that have a really cool initiative and a great mission and some really interesting research for us to chat about and discuss. So you might have saw it in the little title thumbnail and all the social graphic cards out and about. We'll have Lynn, we'll have Will, they'll join us very, very soon. But if I may, give me maybe 10 minutes, give me maybe 15, you know, however long I yap and ramble for, to go over the spiel, what we're up to over at JHT, Just Hacking training. And fingers crossed, I'm always listening for the voice in the back of my head, backstage production, letting me know, did I get it right? Did I say everything that I was supposed to say? But let me pull up the screen share and get us to home base, get us to HQ, right? So justhacking.com is where the magic happens. Justhacking.com. And yes, let me get out of the way early. I know it's the first question every time everybody asks. Yes, of course, this is a live stream, but still being recorded. You can always tune in to any of our live streams, any of the material and content that we've shared out online for channels like these on YouTube, on Twitch, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on demand. Right over at the very top of the navigation here, you can see all the stuff that we're up to. And if you ever wanted to go tune into any of the past live streams, they are here present on the live streams page, just under the events section of the navigation. So we have quite a sweet show today, so I don't want to dwell too long on this. But with that said, let's get to the fun stuff. Because look, the thing is, it's the third week of the month. And for those that aren't familiar, we do these live streams just about every other week, truth be told. We try our best to get, hey, some new content out the door for you, some new courses the first week of every month. And then we do want to make sure we're still giving some sweet love to the stuff that should be accessible, affordable, easy, open. Anyone can dive in with some free content and education and training material here. And so for the third week of the month, today, I feel like it's Friday. Did I say happy Friday when I'm totally not realizing it's Thursday? Wow, goodness, I'm glad I caught myself on that one. Time's a vortex, especially as we're all getting in between the zoo of RSA coming up. But the real celebration today is some of the sweet stuff from our upskill challenges, our UCs that we tend to call them. And we've got a lot of really cool ones out the door for you lately, and I hope you tune in because these are awesome. Again, if you aren't familiar, these are the bite-sized, small, tiny, digestible, like 10 to 30 minutes, honestly, of material that's pure education, That's something that's to get you introduced or exposed to some new content and new material. But we also have an extra little flair to them. We'll have what I'll talk about a little bit more, a UCX, or an extended upskill challenge. Because between some that are now hot off the press, let me get to the right tab here for us. Big thanks for a new addition to the Home Lab series. Joram, a great friend of mine, has now put together something for Proxmox. For a lot of you folks that are doing some self-hosting work right at home, building out your home lab, totally free, totally easy, totally something that you can dive into to get up in action with a sweet hypervisor that's maybe a little bit more friendly for everything that you might be up to. Again, just running it yourself at home, self-hosting. The thing is about upskill challenges, big shout out, big love to the new Home Lab one, and we actually have Metasploit covered well from Gizmo, who's done some great work with us before. I'm really grateful because I believe he first started as a student with just hacking training and was actually wanting to, hey, join the party to make some more content, to share some more learnings here. He's got some more great work on Metasploit, and we were also tracking stuff between Nmap and Nessus. But the point that I was driving towards was that upskill challenges, UCs, traditionally do not have a virtual machine. And we really pride ourselves with a lot of the great content that comes out of just hacking training is that there is a hands-on lab, cyber range, virtual machine, stuff for you to be able to practice and play. Already available, set up, easily accessible, like in your browser or VPN to connect into. But upskill challenges, being the sweet, hey, free stuff that we can get everybody into, we haven't always been able to pour a virtual machine in there. But we wanted to find the sweet spot where we could still make stuff that we bring to events, conferences, like B-Side San Francisco or RSA or the stuff coming up, with a real hands-on component. Like a workshop, right? You're sitting at the table, hey, you wanted something to do, we've got the laptop open, we're doing great work together. So we have what has come to known as a UCX, or X added in there, front, back, start or finish, end or beginning, whatever you want. It's upskill challenge extended, or an extended upskill challenge, where they do include a virtual machine. And we have some really cool stuff cooking up in this direction. UCX for Kimu. And I always get the pronunciation wrong. Kimu? Kimu? I never could tell. But look, Andrew Bellini, I'm so stoked he's joining the party here with us, is doing some incredible stuff in the IoT or Internet of Things directions. And I don't know if I can kiss and tell or leak, but we do have some sweet stuff coming up for like embedded, hardcore, low-level payloads and some malware development on that front. I'm not going to leak, and I can't say more, but I'm hoping that's coming super soon. He's built out this Upskill Challenge Extended, UCX, for real virtual environments for you to be able to dig in to Kimu. And I acknowledge the fact these have a virtual machine. They have cloud-hosted labs and a cyber range accessible to them. So we're trying to find the sweet spot as to, how do we cover the cost? How do we have a financially healthy thing here to still offer the sweet lab and range for you? So these are name your price. They're offered with a minimum floor. You can absolutely crank the price tag down to 0, 0.0, free 50, free.free. But right out of the gate, hey, it'll suggest a suggested price of 5. If you would like to support everything that we're up to, we're always grateful. We just support you. And we hope that you kind of support us. We are grateful for all of that. If you love what we're up to and you did want to contribute to our mission, to our initiative, to our effort for education, and now Andrew's joining the party, I can't wait to keep chatting with him, then we love your support for the Name Your Price initiative there. But some more of the virtualization, some more of the Internet of Things, some more of the access, and another advent here is another Upskill Challenge Extended, or UCX, from Matt. And we've spoken with Matt plenty of times before in these live streams together. And Matt, truth be told, is the true author and mastermind behind some of our previous UCX or upskill challenges that have been extended with the lab environment and virtual range and machine there. For router rut row, or hey, things that we were able to bring to the Internet of Things Village for a lot of other recent events at DEF CON and past and previous things throughout the past year, MQTT, to be able to work with the pub sub protocol there for Internet of Things devices. So he's got something even more cool here for encryption. What encryption? Where we're breaking open some traffic with man-in-the-middle proxy. Really cool stuff. And Matt's a genius. Matt's a wizard. All of the crew, everyone is here. And it's just really sweet, really flattering to have such an incredible cadre, a cohort of all-stars for just hacking training. But that's the gist. That's the spiel for our upskill challenges. We will have a good many of these for our workshops together in person. So if you want to dive in, and they are also immediately now available on demand online at justhacking.com. So if you'd like to dive in, please do. We're going to have a whole lot of fun with those. With that, I do got to say, if you're joining us at B-Side San Francisco or at RSA, tune into some of those. But I wanted to remind you some of the other awesome stuff that we've got out the door just recently. Courses are kind of the bread and butter. That's the real, hey, training material that we want to make sure is available to you. And I will say the most recent releases from hardware hacking have been so cool. Trevor was leading the pack and leading the charge with some great work here. And because this is still released, because this was, hey, this month's new content, a new course out the door, that's still at a 20% launch discount. So if you'd like to snag a copy, please do. That includes a kit. Literally, we send you literally have it shipped in the mail, physical hardware kit for you to be able to work with the circuitry, for you to be able to connect to the board. And I don't know of any other labs that do that. I don't know of any other, training courses and selling material that offers this. And if they're out there, I don't think that they're at this affordable, accessible price tag that we have it here for you. So I'm a little biased, me, but Trevor's a genius. He's a wizard. He was here for our B-Side Chicago in-person live training with instructor-led stuff, all IRL, and we're going to keep on doing that. But if you were seeing me for any of that fun stuff, Dark Web 2, the CTI, Cyber Threat Intelligence Researcher, was also the recent course that I got to put out. That's a little bit more tactical in Tor and the Tor hidden services in the dark web. And that is still available for you with the bundle. If you'd always like to get a 25% off both the Dark Web 1 course, more of the culture, more of the cybercrime ecosystem and economy that's out there, but Dark Web 2 gets really tactical. And nothing's hold back. You're seeing real onion links. You're seeing the real sites that you could go navigate to, that you got to have a little bit of fortitude to explore and go see what's out there on the dark web. But I hope that's fun for you. Did I miss anything? Voices in the back of my head, backstage production. I don't know if I said all the right things. I think I'm tracking. Okay, cool. I got all the right words off my plate. Now we have, as I mentioned, some incredibly special guests today. And we've actually, in case you haven't heard, across the social media, internet airwaves, we wanted to help celebrate Women's History Month, right? And International Women's Day. And we've had an awesome strategic partnership with Women in Cybersecurity. We actually put together a giveaway, kind of a, hey, little sweet exercise and activity for folks that were willing to help fill out the sweet form. We had some prizes to give away. And we get to do that today, right now, part of the live stream. But I do want to bring in our extremely special guests, both representatives from WiCyS, Women in Cybersecurity, and another new great friend, Will, over from 41 Insights. But if I may please bring you all into the show, and forgive me, I'm always kind of driving blind. I'll stop sharing for a quick moment to make sure I could actually pull you in. But fingers crossed, I hope you're still with me. Will, Lynn, if you're ready, we'll bring you on, and then we get to announce the winners together, if you're cool with it. But I do want to hear from you. I want to get your intro. I want to know who you are, and we can set the stage for the audience before we dive in. So, Lynn, can you hear okay?
I could hear you just fine.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being here with me. How are you?
Good, great, wonderful. I'm here live with you today. It's a fantastic day, a fantastic Thursday, right, John?
It is Thursday. Thank you. You caught me on that one. Good.
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me and Will as we're talking about some of the latest and greatest research from the WiCyS organization. We're really excited about it. Our media embargo just lifted last week. We just came back from our WiCyS conference and we are so stoked and ready about RSAC. So we're happy to have the shared experience just as we're all getting ready to pack up and head back out of town. So this is exciting.
Excellent. Super glad you're here with me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, I can't say it enough. But I don't want to leave our extra friend out of the party here. So, Will, if you're still here with me, would you mind jumping in as part of the show? Hey there, Will.
John, great to see you. Thank you for having me.
Let's see. How's audio, everyone? If we could get a quick check from the chat? But Will, Lynn, I don't know. Could you do any quick intros? Let me know who you are, what you're up to. What are you doing over at Women in Cybersecurity and 41 Insights? What's on in your world?
Sure, I could go ahead and get started. So I'm Lynn Dome. I'm Women in Cybersecurity Executive Director. I've been Executive Director of this organization for 6 years now. WiCyS is really exciting. We started back in 2014 just solely as a conference, and that conference grew very quickly. And then in 2018, we realized that if we're going to make real progress in cybersecurity workforce initiatives, that we have to pay more attention to that retention, gather data on the retention, career growth and advancement opportunities. That's one of the reasons why we partnered with you as a strategic partner with Just Hacking Training. So we love that. We love your mission, vision, and values. And for us as a nonprofit, we run all sorts of different programming efforts, continue to build our community, but also build up their skill set either in the technical or the leadership space. And then right now, you know, we're 3 years in of really having hardcore data. We're a data-driven organization, so we want the data for our members to be able to have that for their skill sets, but we also want to utilize our own data to be able to determine what is the next area that we have to go into in order to continue to keep this momentum going strong. So it's exciting to be here and share this with all of you.
Heck yeah. Will, I want to hear from you, my friend.
I am happy to share a little bit about myself. So I'm Will Marco. I'm the founder and CEO of 41 Insights. We're a research and advisory company that really focuses on emerging technologies, how they're impacting the workforce. And really, I say all that, I'm just a data nerd masquerading as a CEO. I've been analyzing the cybersecurity workforce now for about 13 years. It's become a passion project of mine. And I have really gotten to see over the past decade plus how things have started to evolve in the field. And sometimes the more things change, the more they stay the same. I'm sure we'll get into why I say that. But really have been thrilled to be able to partner with Lynn and WiCyS on some of the recent research. I think WiCyS is doing some fantastic work, and it's absolutely necessary work to expand the talent pipeline into cyber. And I am just so thrilled to be able to share all of the work that we've been doing together with you and your audience today, and can't wait to get into it.
Well, thank you so much. I know I sound like a broken record. I don't mean to be beating a dead horse, but I just genuinely can't say it enough. Thank you so much for joining me here. I know we're going to chat a whole lot more about your great new insights on the state of the cybersecurity workforce. And along the way, hey, we'll talk about what we're all up to at RSA for the RSA conference coming up. But I didn't want to keep anybody waiting at the edge of their seat for the winners of the giveaway that we've been doing. And I'll pull up on the screen share, if I may, super quick, just so we could set the stage a little bit better. We'll get to the announcements for the winners, and I could go ahead and share. Look, we put out some time ago this form for folks to be able to submit and enter in for this giveaway. And I've got the winners. Are you ready, folks? First place winner who receives a 1-year membership to WiCyS, Women in Cybersecurity, and the full version of the Just Hacking Training course, Constructing Defense. Anton and his Constructing Defense 2026 that includes that AI teaching assistant to be able to learn a little bit more of the blue team defense work. The winner, first place, is Ashlyn V. I wanted to make sure we got her first name and then a last initial. So Ashlyn V. We'll reach out to you. We'll have a member from Just Hacking Training be able to reach out over email, so you don't have to be present to win by any means in the live stream. But that's something that we were very, very excited about. And thank you for being a part of this. Congratulations to the win. Second place, we did want to give a winner another 1-year membership to WiCyS, Women in Cybersecurity, and my dark web bundle. So thank you for the support. That winner is Victoria T. Another first name and last initial, Victoria T. Congratulations. And again, we'll reach out over email with some of the JHT staff. So thank you for your support there. Third place winner gets the special training package that, yes, includes the 1-year membership to WiCyS, Women in Cybersecurity, but also a bundle of all of these sweet courses and materials, a good many from Just Hacking Training, all the different courses taught by incredible and wonderful women. Katie Paxton Fear, Corey Macy, and Ellie Daw. Big shout out and love and support to them. And congratulations to the third place winner. That is Rachel T. So thank you, everybody. Congratulations. I really hope you had some fun with the giveaway. We did want to help support everything that we've been up to for Women's History Month and this great initiative, especially with women in cybersecurity. So with that, Lynn, Will, I know normally when we do a live stream, we have these like technical, very hands-on, practical demos, but I think it's also just as important to talk, to have a real conversation. And I'm super curious, what is on in your world? We can dive into the state of the cybersecurity workforce or some of the research that I think you've got together for us, Will. And then we can dive into what's on at RSA.
Yeah, sure. Will, do you want me to, should I set up the conversation a little bit about how we got here? Sure. Right, Will? I think it's always really helpful. And so I mentioned earlier in my introduction that when we are long enough as a nonprofit organization, we were able to realize that we have to build this foundation of building a resilient workforce. And that made us determine that we have to better understand what is the retention. So about 2 or 3 years ago, John, we decided that we were going to partner with Illyria Research, and we're going to do a state of inclusion benchmark report. And this benchmark report is to help us understand what is the retention and give us more information on women in cybersecurity specifically. Now, we're not a women's only organization. Our mission is recruit, retain, and advance women in cybersecurity, but we've always been a community of women and men and allies and advocates that are concerned about the resiliency of the workforce, and they support our mission as we build the workforce, because there's a lot of factors that are reshaping the workforce each and every year. And so a few years ago, we decided to partner with Illyria and do this benchmark report, and it came up with really important information for the sake of what led us to partner with Will on the 4-1 Insights, or actually Will reached out to us, and it was really an interesting conversation because it was very timely. But in that benchmark report, we learned that women in cybersecurity are at a glass ceiling at around 6 to 10 years within their career. On top of that, now this is a couple of years ago, but on top of that, we also learned that a high barrier is also the lack of career growth and advancement opportunities, which is why we partner with, Just Hacking Training, and we do a lot of different training programs within our organization. But another interesting data point, again, for the sake of why we went over with 4-1 Insights, is that women in cybersecurity were 5 times more likely to have these experiences of exclusionary activity come from their direct managers. And we got thousands of other data points, really interesting information on very much so workforce initiatives and what we're working with right now. And so we went around the country, WiCyS did, and we presented this data and the information at various conferences. And after one particular conference, an individual walked up to me and they said, well, if women in cybersecurity are at a glass ceiling, then perhaps it's a performance issue. And so you only have to ask me that once, knowing the people that I know, knowing the content, the authors of your content on your platform and on so many platforms, and their incredible growing community that is so strong and advanced in the cybersecurity workforce. That led us to partner with N2K and then now also SkillRex. And we did a hard skills assessment on WiCyS members according to 60 core competencies based on how are they performing against their peers. And we were very pleased and not surprised to learn in our recent research that WiCyS members are outperforming their peers on the cybersecurity competencies at a rate of 14.5% higher. much higher, 21% in early career, 14.5% at more advanced in the mid-career, and then 8% more advanced at the more senior professionals. And that's exactly what we were looking for with that. And so when the language started shifting to like skills-based advancement, merit-based advancement, we're like, right on, like, let's do this. We know the skills, we have the data, we're already ahead of the conversation. We were super thrilled, and skills is the ultimate equalizer. So let's, like, we kicked back and we're like, let's have this conversation. We're going to see nothing but growth and advancement for our members, and this is fantastic. And then, and we have the assessment tool that we've been working with, and we know that other employer partners are as well. But time and time again, over the last year, so throughout 2025, when I was meeting with employers at various conferences and events and one-on-one meetings, and I would ask them, well, how are you determining your skills-based promotions and advancement? Like, how are we making progress in the workforce? It kept on coming back, well, we leave that to the discretion of the managers. So if you go back to our original research from 2.5 years ago, it showed that women in cybersecurity were, had a higher percentage of experiences of exclusion coming directly from their direct managers. So we're at this place. The conversation is really strong. Skills-based advancement. We're super supportive and in alignment of it. And employers are doing skills-based assessments, but are they really utilizing the tool as advancement? And so when Will came forward with 401 Insights and he's like, hey, let's do something on the ROI of resiliency. My question was very, like, it couldn't get more clear. Like, we can't narrow this down any further. It was simply, what is the return on investment for skills-based advancement for mid-career women in cybersecurity? Like, we have this data. And what I love about it is that we gathered the data, we looked at the insights, it tells us an interesting story, we ask more questions, that's how we do more research, then it tells us another story. And the third story is what led us over to partner with Will and have him do his research. And, we really let Will do his magic and take it from there. I mean, he's been doing this for over a decade, and he has a lot of great, knowledge and data that he gathers. And so I'll pass the mic on over to Will to share that, but it's a great story, and we utilize our own data and insights on making very informed decisions on the programs that we're going to do for our members. But I'll get into that in just a little bit. So.
Well, thank you for putting this in the spotlight, of course. I think there's still the focus and really the attention to this is just what's important. And Will, I know you've got the real work here, so I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, well, happy to dive in, and thank you, Lynn, for sharing that context. Now, just share a little bit of additional context too about why we were so excited to partner with WiCyS on this research. Partially because of everything that Lynn just said. They've been doing some fantastic research over the past few years, documenting some of the unique challenges and opportunities that are inherent to women in cyber. And that was just something personally I wanted to be able to support. But also I think it is really critical for the broader cybersecurity ecosystem to be able to really expand the talent pipeline as much as possible for as many people as possible and solve both not just the attraction issue that I think a lot of people talk about for bringing more people in the field, but really what Lynn likes to focus on is that retention piece. How do we make sure that we're keeping people in the field? And everybody for a long time was saying, oh, skills-based hiring, that's going to solve the problem. And as Lynn mentioned, the problem was partially that when people were utilizing skills-based hiring, they were still using biased approaches, relying on managers to just give their assessment of whether or not somebody has skills. There are a lot of biases inherent in that. But also, just a lot of people don't even know what skills-based hiring means in practice. You ask 10 different people, you get 11 different answers. And so we wanted to really use this research to demystify what are some of those best practices that are both good for individuals because they help them grow, they help them advance, in particular women and mid-career women in cyber who have been hitting that glass ceiling for far too long. We want to figure out what are the practices that help them. We also want to figure out what are the practices that help employers, right? These are win-win opportunities for companies who are trying to invest in their people. They're trying to build resilience of their technical infrastructure, their digital infrastructure. This is good for everybody, right? And so we really wanted to hone in on those win-win practices. And so I'll actually share a few slides just to give you a little bit of a preview of the research so you can see what we found. So let me see if I am able to bring this up. All right, so let me know if you can see my screen all right.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Looks good.
All right. Perfect. Well, as we were mentioning, really all of this work has culminated in the release of this report, the ROI of Resilience, that we just made live last week. As Lynn mentioned, we announced it at the WiCyS conference, and we lifted the media embargo. So everybody who wants to go out and read the research, please do so. Go to WiCyS.org, go to 4wininsights.com. It's out there. But really want to just dive in to some of the key findings from this research, because as I mentioned, we really wanted to pinpoint what are those win-win things, those win-win actions that organizations can be taking that are good for themselves and good for individuals. And so I'm going through this. I think, a lot of this was both intended for employers, but also employees themselves. If you're an individual in cyber, even if you're not in a position where you can implement some of these practices, you can still advocate for them. You can still ask for them. You can still query a interviewer whether or not they're offering some of these practices. And I think there are bottom-up opportunities to really try to push more employers towards adopting these. But without further ado, what were some of those practices that we found were most valuable? Well, overwhelmingly, they were skills-based and talent-friendly. And so what we mean by that is that they were practices that really help people to either develop professionally or provided them access to people who could help them in their careers. So what are these practices? Things like mentorship programs came out on top. Incredibly useful for helping people advance, but guess what? It's also incredibly useful for keeping people in your company. It helps dramatically with retention, and if you can retain people, you save money. In fact, the highest value practices we were finding on average were helping companies save over $127,000 over the course of an individual cybersecurity worker's lifetime with their company, because they were reducing hiring costs and they were reducing attrition. The longer you keep people, the more value you get out of them. We also found, though, that investing in the skills-based hiring that Lynn was talking about is also an incredibly useful way to help your workers develop and to keep them on longer, because if you're investing in your people, they become more invested in the company. And so there are tons of great opportunities for organizations to invest in the skills of their workers and to help provide more opportunities for growth and access to higher levels of the organization. One other thing I'll mention too is that we found providing access to professional membership organizations, yes, like WiCyS, is also incredibly helpful. It helped companies reduce how long it took them to hire workers because they were able to tap into new pools of talent. It also helps to provide resources to smaller companies who maybe, they don't have the resources for a mentorship program, but they can get that through membership organizations such as WiCyS. And so that was another thing that I found really interesting, was that organizations, they don't have to go at it alone. If they're trying to invest in their people, they can also look for opportunities to work with trusted third parties and support them along that journey. Now, this all sounds great, and I think there's more great stuff. It's not only good for employers, but it's also good for employees. The companies that were adopting some of these practices, we found that, yes, indeed, when they took more of a skills-based approach to investing in their people, or when they were offering mentorships, just as we suspected we would find, it was also great for women who are looking to advance to higher levels of leadership in cybersecurity. In fact, some of these practices, when companies adopted them, we found that they were about 10 to 20% more likely to have female representation in their cybersecurity leadership. And all of these practices were loved by employees. Virtually everybody we surveyed said that they would absolutely love it if their companies were offering some of these practices to them. And so I think that this really underscores just how much of a win-win these practices really were. Now, the last thing I'll say before I'll take a little pause is that as great as these things were for individuals and for companies, not a whole lot of organizations are currently adopting them. In fact, the highest value practices we found were also the least utilized. So that means we have a long way to go before organizations are fully adopting some of these best practices. And we have a long way to go before more people are able to benefit from the resources that companies could be providing them to help them develop. And then even when people are being offered some of these resources, even when companies are saying that they're leveraging skills, we also found that, as Lynn had mentioned earlier, the majority of the time they're not doing so effectively. They're actually more likely to rely upon managers to assess the skills of their people In fact, over 60% of the respondents we found said that their organizations, when they said they were using skills to help people advance, realistically, they were just relying upon biased managerial assessments. And as a result, that's preventing these practices from really being as effective as possible. So I think we have a long way to go before companies are fully utilizing some of the best practices we found in this research and helping not only their bottom lines, but helping their people advance and grow, and in particular, women in cybersecurity advance and grow and matriculate into higher levels of leadership within the field. So there's a lot more coming out of this, but I am often told that the less I talk, the better I sound. So I'll pause there, see if, John, you have any questions, or Lynn, if there's anything else you'd like to add in.
No, I think you covered it, John. It's just, it's all about WiCyS bringing awareness that these practices exist and it affects the bottom line. Like now we have data that's in the dollar amount that's saying, okay, this is the practices. We're all in alignment. We know the success of them. We know the success of them put into practice. And now it's impacting the bottom line of employers saving up to $127,000 per employee per tenure. And so that's really significant. And it's also great learning opportunities for the individuals. And we'll get into a little bit too, John, about, that's one of the main reasons why we partnered with Just Hacking Training, is because we want to look at what are our community's weaknesses and making sure that we're putting programs in place that really align with raising their skills assessments scores themselves, so they have more strength in certain particular areas. So we're in the middle of working with your team on that. It's super fun.
Well, muscle and feel for me, right? I super appreciate digging into the data, getting tactical and all this, but I also still can't help but feel like it rings true. Okay, we've got this fact, we've got this established, we've got this understanding, but now there is still more to do. Room for improvement, right? So again, I think it is, I'm just glad that we're raising awareness, that we're sharing that education, really shining a spotlight on this. So I'm here on my broken record again. I'm just saying thanks and expressing my gratitude, but it's just important. It's a great mission initiative. And I love that. Oh, hey, we've got the numbers, we've got the stats, we've got the real data to show this and tell the story louder and prouder than before. So.
Right. Right. And even in the skills-based assessments, when we utilize it for our members, we provide that member the information on their strengths, on their weaknesses, and they receive that information in their own report. But we get the aggregate data for us as an organization, and we're like, all right, WiCyS members, great, you're killing it out there. You're 14.5% performing at this higher average, and we like to see that. And there's other information that we're able to receive that shows that there's some areas that we need to improve on. And so we then make decisions on our own programs. So last year alone, we ran 123 programs. We engaged over 50,000 individuals. So our impact, our community is, each and every day to the thousands of individuals that we're being able to have this reach and assessment on. And so as we're building up these skill sets, and we call it the WiCyS Edge, we also want to talk to the employer partners, because there's this employer advantage as well for them to understand this data and for them to realize that, hey, WiCyS members are outperforming their peers. They have a 32% lower attrition rate because of all the wraparound services that we're able to provide. And in addition to the best practices that Will recommends with skills-based advancement, this is your bottom line. And so it's fun to be there as an org and be able to share this loud and proud, and to be able to partner with so many great people to really make the movement happen. We're not just sitting here saying we have this data, but we're sitting here saying we have this data, and we walk the walk too. And we do it each and every year, and it's not always easy, and it always takes a lot of navigating ourselves, but we make it happen, and that's why we're here as a nonprofit, to keep going strong in that space.
Will, what do you think? Is there a continuation of this? Is there a new study, another research? Is there more on the horizon following soon? I know this is still new, but will you do this again? Will this take even more inventory, re-inventory, new analysis over time?
The day that there are no more questions, I'm out of a job. So I certainly hope there are more questions, but I think there will be. I think that this research so far, we've been grateful to see really strong response from the community. I think that there are also a lot of questions that are going to be raised and that are starting to be raised. And as you mentioned, John, there are still challenges. And so I think there's always going to be an opportunity to do more work to provide more data to the community so that they can really understand from a factual baseline what's happening and make decisions off of that. And then I think that there's also going to be opportunities to provide more actionable resources for employers who are trying to implement some of these best practices. And so we're definitely always on the lookout for opportunities to continue to dive into that research. The one thing I will say is that there are also other resources that we're continuously putting out, both with WiCyS as well as through 401 Insights, that can help people better understand and unpack what's happening in the workforce. So, we talk a lot about skills-based hiring. Well, if you need effective skills-based hiring, you also need to know what are the skills that people need to have and how are those evolving. And so, for example, we've put out some research looking at how cybersecurity skills are evolving. We've looked at some of the fastest growing cybersecurity skills. Unsurprisingly, a lot of them are related to AI, although not all of them, but that is probably not a shocker, but it still is useful to identify what are those high growth skills. And then we also look at what are the highest value skills that are going to help somebody earn the most money, that are going to give you the best salary premium if you develop those capabilities. And being able to put that kind of information out there to the community, I think, is absolutely vital for anybody who is trying to start or advance their career in cyber. It's vital for anybody who's trying to train people for careers in cyber. And it's vital for employers who are trying to improve how they hire, attract, retain, and invest in the people that they already have. So there's always going to be new research that we want to dig into.
May I ask, what are some of, right? I know there are many of new megaphones or mouthpieces for you to keep spreading the mission. Like, hey, we get on this live stream. Oh, we do the in-person conversations. Maybe we're at an event, a conference. I'm helping us try and tee up what we're up to over at RSA. But is it main stage presentations? Is it newsletters? Is it word of mouth? Is it all of the above? I don't know where, how do these stack? Are there tiers? But also, hey, I'm curious. Sweet. What are the new initiatives that you might all be doing at RSA next week when we're together?
Yeah, that's great. And it is, you're right. It's all the above. We're looking at it from the lens of what do our community members need to hear that gives them the value edge of being a part of this organization. And then we're looking at it, what does the employer partners need to hear? And how do we scream this from the mountaintops? And of course, being on your live stream and creating this amount of visibility and understanding and awareness is super critical and important for us. And then as we go to RSAC, we'll be queuing up some media engagements there and doing all that. We'll be at WiCyS San Francisco. WiCyS will also be established at CSA, the summit that they're having. We host our own WiCyS at RSAC event. So for everyone that's available, if they have availability on Tuesday night, I know that in the chat, our roadmap, WiCyS at RSAC roadmap is there. But something really fun and useful and something that is really nice too is that we partnered with Rich Green at SANS, and he's doing a run across the Golden Gate Bridge on Tuesday morning. And what a great, let's just get out of the regular. How many times do I go to RSAC and I go from my hotel to Moscone to hotel, or to a restaurant or an outing that night, but I'm really not seeing the light of day or even taking in anything of my surroundings. And so kicking off with that run across the Golden Gate on Tuesday morning is going to be fun too. And we're looking forward to getting a little sunshine. Although I heard it's not going to be as warm as I would like coming from Chicago. I would like to go to California and have warm weather, but it never works out like that. Not in San Francisco, that's for sure. So, but yes, I want to hear more about where you're all going to be. I know that you're going to be hosting your challenge at WiCyS San Francisco, and where else is JHT going to be?
Yes, we will be over in the villages, from what I understand and gather, for RSA. We are still, hey, working well together with the IoT Village, Internet of Things. So we'll have some gear and equipment out and about. We'll have swag, we'll have the shirts, we'll have all the stickers, we'll have the things to get together with everybody. Really, it's like a constant meet and greet. It's so much fun just to be together with everybody and talk shop and chat about what we're doing, and then maybe get hands on keyboard and dive into some of those like extended upskill challenges and workshops here and there. But really, really just looking forward to the togetherness, the community. Like there's something special about going to a conference, being at an event, being really IRL with people, and seeing people that we otherwise just see across the screen, like we're doing now. So really, genuinely, just so happy to have a security family reunion, and I feel so cheesy when I say that every time, but I just feel like that's what it is. That's us getting together. So
Yeah,
stoked
isn't
for
it
it.
interesting? It is so interesting when you go to a big place like RSAC and how small the cybersecurity community actually is. I mean, it's so significant when you're there, but you really, once you start to get a little bit involved here, you're in a cohort there and you start building your skills, and then all of a sudden you're meeting up, you're syncing up at conferences, and then you're really, creating that incredible network at such a value, a net value to you. And it really happens so organically and genuinely when you create the space of those hands-on learning experiences, because that's a bond. Like, people bond in a way when you have those type of workshops and hands-on, like out of frustration, out of excitement, out of like annoyance, out of joy, out of being pressure test to a level that it brings them over the edge, where they're like, they have no choice but to commiserate with one another and enjoy the ride while they're there. So I love that you bring that there. And hey, Just Hacking training is your hands-on learning experience, is one of the most exciting parts that we're excited to partner with you. It's not just the coursework, it's not just the learning opportunity. When we're partnering, we're going to be building a cohort. So we're going to build that community around the different type of coursework. And I know you build a community, a very strong community around that as well. But it's also the hands-on learning with the training. And your live streamings have added such a value, because you've made this information accessible in a way that people need to receive it, so they could understand, be talked through it, and then gain the confidence to build up their skill sets because of it. So it's so interesting to watch you throughout your career, and then also come forward with a tool that actually makes sense, seeing the gaps that you've already witnessed, and you're bringing it, to life. And so when the partnership came into existence, I was like, this is perfect. It feels just so good to be in the right space, alignment for the right reasons.
Well, thank you. That's very, very sweet, and a real flatter, an honor to, hey, help be part of the whole community, the whole industry, everything that we're up to. I know I was, again, just saying, when we get together, and as you were alluding to, you're making bonds when you're working together with people and you're networking and you're building up that community. Best advice to anyone tuning in, and Will, I know you mentioned, hey, folks that want to get into the industry, folks that are proceeding through their career, it's just be present. Be involved, be part of all this, the pulse, the heartbeat, everything that we're up to. If I may, I saw a couple cool questions come through in the chat, and Will, if you're willing, I don't know if you have, let's see, they were asking, are there any skills that maybe don't correspond to AI or artificial intelligence? I don't know if you've got any off the top of your head here, but is there anything that's still another, hot topic, hot commodity, things that people can get practical, really dive into and learn? Is there more that you're thinking?
Yeah, so it's a great question. And although AI is definitely one of the fastest growing skills we look at, it's not the only one. So a couple of others that we found. And also, anybody who wants to learn more, go to 401insights.com. This is publicly available information. Go to our insights page. We have some articles about this. But a couple that come to mind is, one, the regulatory landscape is constantly changing, whether it's GDPR, whether it is some other framework that is being introduced, whether it's privacy regulations, et cetera. There is constantly a need to remain up on the latest regulatory changes. So those are constantly some of the fastest growing requirements we see are related to new regulations. There are also going to be new types of security processes and approaches that come up a lot. So Zero trust architecture, for example. That's one of the 10 fastest growing skill areas that we've tracked. That one is continuing to grow at a very rapid clip. Identity and access management, that's another one. Threat intelligence, that's another one. Even some cloud native security. Cloud has been around now for a while, and in the decade plus that I've been analyzing the space, cloud has always been a rapidly growing field and a rapidly evolving field. So that is also bumping up towards the top. So there are others, but I would say that outside of AI, those are some of the things that are really bubbling up near the top right now, the fastest growing and, by the way, most lucrative skills. Some of these are commanding salary premiums on average of $20,000, $30,000 or more. So if you learn some of these skills, that is going to give a nice boost to your employability and probably the amount of money you're going to make. So those are a few that I would recommend looking at: regulatory shifts, zero trust architecture, threat intelligence, cloud. There are others, IAM, but I'll stop there. I could rattle on for another hour here.
Well, Lynn, there was one that came through that I know is certainly specific to, hey, you and all that you're up to, but could you tell me even a little bit more, if you could, about women in cybersecurity? And especially, hey, what would someone get with that 1-year membership, hey, that annual access to be able to dive into everything that you're offering there?
Oh, great. Yes, yes. So, yeah, well, what we recommend, no matter what's interesting about WiCyS is that we follow individuals no matter where they're at in their career. We equally distribute our programming efforts in early career, mid-career, and senior positioned individuals. I even just got off our Executive Leaders Network, which is all VPs, directors, and C-suite executives that sync up, and we create a safe and trusted space for a lot of problem solving, even at that level. And we have high-level conversations about even the need as a C-suite executive having sponsors within your space and continuing to grow your network at a very high level. And so that is super critically important for individuals to know. No matter where you're at, there's a place for you to dive in within the WiCyS organization. And then I mentioned we did that 123 programs just last year alone, engaged over 50,000 participants with that. And so with your membership, if you're a student, it's $20. If you're a veteran, it's $40 or $50. There's a tiered approach. And then industry professional, we're still at $95. It's great. So I always advocate for that when they're like, how about raise them? I'm like, gosh, $95 just seems so right. But what's unique about us is that when you're a member, and if you match the criteria for our programming efforts that you apply for, then you don't have to pay anything addition. You know how some associations are like, if you're a member and then you get a discounted rate for this or that or anything along those lines. What we do is we are still in this wonderful space as a nonprofit where we have many different diversified funding and revenue streams that we're able to provide our work and our information and our programming efforts at no additional charge. So when we build a program and we pitch it, we also then pitch it to funders to be able to take that initiative and go strong with it, because we are creating accessibility, we are creating opportunities, and that accessibility and opportunities just doesn't stop at early career. It's critically important. Like all the day, if any key takeaway is from this live cast, it's the importance of that mid-career individual. Pay special attention to it, because if we solve the retention and provide career growth and advancement, we're going to be making a stronger impact in the workforce. And that's why we do the work we do. And then even at that senior professional. So whatever, my recommendation is join WiCyS, of course. And then when a program opens up, which they open up at a rapid rate, then if it strikes your interest, apply. And then when you get in, do the program and love what you do. Like, we're here for you to explore different areas of cybersecurity. And if it resonates with you, fantastic. You have a great cohort and a community and all the wraparound services for you and the technical mentors. And if it doesn't, if that area isn't for you, you had fun trying and you can move it. Now you know what you do and you don't like. And then the next time you just go into a different program. So that's us in a nutshell. We love what we do. I love building the programs. I love going out there and making sure that we're able to provide this for our community. And it's a sweet space that we live in, that we're doing it.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I know we have some links flying around in the chat for folks to learn a little bit more and get involved. And thank you so much for backstage. Hey, sharing that out and about, spreading it far and wide. So love the initiative and love everything that you all are doing. There was one really great question left that I think would work well for both of us, truth be told, for both of you, all of us here, and kind of ties together everything I think we've been discussing and chatting today between all the programs and between what we're doing next week and out and about in person at conferences and events. Someone asked, do you have any recommendations for someone going to their very first cybersecurity conference, whether or not that's RSA or BSides or what have you? Any, even just, I don't know, friendly general tips, any advice, any recommendations for someone going to their very first get together?
Well, my recommendation is to just be curious.
Yeah.
Ask the questions, be curious. Go right in. We've all been there, quite honestly. I mean, we all know what it feels like to be going to your first cybersecurity conference. It's fun, it's exciting, it's invigorating, but also as you're leaving your hotel room, you're like, what am I getting myself into? Like, this is a very large space, and you could feel like everyone knows so much more than you do. And, everyone knows a lot. And so this is your time for tapping into the curiosity and the knowledge and the skill sets of others and make those networks and let your conversations lend from a place of just honest, open, authentic questions that you have. Everyone appreciates that. And you know what? Everyone feels it. We know the authentic people from like the ones of ill intent. And so just show up as yourself. Will? Oh boy, is he frozen?
Will might be frozen, but that's A-okay. I don't know if he'll come back one way or another. But I know we are getting close to the end. I know we are winding down at the very top of the hour. I think I might share my piece. As much as I absolutely, 1,000% agree that, look, we got to be curious. That's, I think, first and foremost, get involved, be a participant, be present there. I would actually maybe tie it a little bit further out is that, hey, that's going to be one conference of hopefully many. I hope one new event, and maybe you bring it back. Maybe you talk about it a little bit more with friends, family, peers, colleagues, coworkers, whatever the case may be, so that you'll go to another one. So I don't know if you're taking notes. I don't know if you're making friends and networking. I don't know if you're just bringing back the nuggets or the things that you learned either in talks, either at events, either as part of the hands-on exercises, capture the flag, things like that. But truth be told, it's something that, hey, you really want to capture because you don't get to have RSA 2022 again. Yeah. 2023, hey, that's years gone by. 2024, right? However long ago that was. Collect all the stickers, get all the swag, just be a sponge and absorb, and whatever the case may be. BSides, I don't know, any event, ISAC, any of these, be there, be present, and make it so you can take it home with you too.
I couldn't agree more. That is very, very helpful information.
Well, thank you again and again, Lynn. I've said it all the time, all too often, but I really genuinely do mean it. And Will, of course, so appreciate you joining here. And I think we could probably spin this thing down, right? We're getting real close to the hour. And anything more, any last parting shots, or should we call it a day? Get to the weekend.
Well, yeah. Get to the weekend is always a great plus. And what's great about this is that even our members and your members, they're going to see more of just hacking within the WiCyS org. And so if folks have joined us and they're excited about this collaboration, then stay tuned to the WiCyS newsletter and JHT and know when these programming efforts are going to be coming to life. And hey, talking about a great place to dive in, that's a great time to dive in as well. So I'm just looking forward to it all. 2026 is going strong. We're really proud to be here, and we really appreciate you having us on this live stream.
Right back at you, Lynn. The feeling is mutual. It is a truly strategic partnership. We're in it together. So
that's right.
Well, let me do the last, spiel shenanigans. Please do. I hope folks are willing to check out some of those free upskill challenges. Justhacking.com is where all that will be. Thanks for jumping right back in, Will. I'm glad you're here with us. We're signing off, I think, but really appreciate you tuning in. I think this has been an awesome show. And hey, if anyone wanted to grab those dark web content, the training material there, that's still got the bundle, 25% off. Hardware hacking, still 20% off. I hope you do get a chance to go take a look at everything at Just Hacking Training. But I'll pull Will and Lynn out to the show. Thank you so much. Genuinely, thank you again. And I think we'll play the sizzle reel and we'll tune out. But hey, forget all the noise and get to just hacking. Learn cybersecurity and focus technical training with justhacking.com, where all-star instructors and industry experts provide hands-on, affordable, and practical learning. Across courses, free upskill challenges, hack-along training videos, and capture the flag competitions, there's always something to hack. With new content twice a month, all throughout the year, plus bi-monthly live streams, you can sharpen your skills in our on-demand and interactive lab environments. Advance your career and level up, regardless of your experience or budget. Forget all the noise and get to just hacking. Sign up now at justhacking.com.